In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Surviving together, victorious, and never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to our SaaS community here at Surviving Together. Let me move this like a little more so my face isn't like totally cut off. There we go. How's everyone doing today on this Saturday? I am so excited to jump into this topic of trauma and ADHD. If you don't know, Surviving Together here, we are a safe space for sexual assault and other trauma survivors to come together, connect, learn some things, and to hopefully heal along with us, guys. Let's see who all is here. And this subject, trauma and ADHD, this is not going to be a one-offer. This is definitely going to be a little bit of a series and something that we'll continue to come back to, because I found that through researching this, there was so many facets to this that I think that we can go over so many different ways, different videos. So definitely going to be doing this more than once. So who do we have? Carry on. Janet, so glad you're here. Deirdre Gore, so glad you're here. In and out, but making supper, that's totally fine. You listen as you go. Crystal, I am glad you are here. You just about missed this. What? We're here every Saturday at 3. Well, most every Saturday. Really, still, I think my track record's still pretty good. Most every Saturday. So, Misha, glad you are joining us today. Let's see. 3 more weeks until you head back to work. Okay. Well, let's keep our head above water with that, and I wish you the best of luck. We'll talk before then, I'm sure. Janet went to the Prairie Fiber Festival today. The Prairie Festival I get. The Prairie Fiber Festival is it's an interesting title, Janet. Can you expound upon this, please? Is there a lot of bran muffins being served? I need to know more. Shannon, so good you're here. Glad to talk to you. Janet just left the festival. Awesome. Oh, Crystal, I'm so glad. That's really good news that they've been able to work your shifts out, so you'll be flying solo in terms of not having anybody there who would bother you. That is perfect, and I am so happy for you. That is just wonderful. Amisha, thank you so much for sharing this. That is so appreciated. Yeah, guys, if you haven't, hey, hit the like button if you could, and check your subscription. If you're not subscribed, hey, why not? We're a fun group here, and it's only going to get better from here on out. And check your subscription if you are subscribed, because we have definitely been going up and down these 5 subscribers, these mystery 5 subscribers. I keep gaining and losing them this week. It's been very up and down. We are at 198 subs currently, guys. So close to 200. We really want to pass that just to get the word out to a few more people. Hit that 200 mark. That would be really great, because guess what? I have yet another announcement. We passed 1,500 watch hours. Guys, I'm like blown away. We need 4,000 watch hours. That's our goal. And in 6 months, we've gotten 1,500. And we're only, speeding up. So we got another 6 months to get the remainder of that. So 2,500, the remainder of that 4,000. I think we'll get there, guys. I think we'll get there. Oh, Crystal, I'm so happy. I am so happy that talk with your manager went well, and that's how you guys were able to work this out. That's fabulous. Really, really, really good to see. Fiber, it's yarn. The Prairie Fiber Festival being yarn, sheep yarn. Gotcha. All right. I'm with you now. I'm following anything sheep related. Okay. We've no worries, no worries. Uh, well, we have big days around here. A big day around here, I should say. It is the day that my son's outer motorcycle parts came, his new ones. So he is absolutely thrilled. They're custom made. The company custom makes them all because of the bikes that they have. I've only seen a few pieces taken out of the box. They're pretty beautiful, I gotta say. So I'm looking forward to seeing the whole thing put together, as is he, because it will be the wee hours of the morning until he comes in. I swear, if this thing isn't put together and he's not riding it before 9, I would be shocked. So he's absolutely thrilled. It's black. It's got red flames, reflective, very subtle. Pretty cool. He did a good job. That's all I gotta say. Definitely did a good job with that. So other than that, we are just kind of motoring around. Yeah, you're right, DeAudrey. The subscribing, unsubscribing with the YouTube, it has. It's been going on for quite some time, and I don't know that I don't know that people are actually getting, like actual people, or maybe there's some bots that are, getting unsubbed, or, I don't know. So I mention it, one, to get you all hit that like button, but two, just check your subscription status just in case. You have been doing raids lately in several channels. The support of our villages is growing and beautiful. That is wonderful. And apparently raid stands for something. So please enlighten us, Mac. I think that's wonderful. I am so thrilled and I'm so touched every time you guys are supporting one another. Every time I'm in some channel and I see one of our other channels being thrown out there, somebody saying, hey, I'm going to be doing this today. And, one of the wrenches throws out the channel name. I mean, it's absolutely been phenomenal. And I can't express how thankful I am that you guys are all there for each other. I wish I could be online with you guys more, or on Discord or whatever. I just simply don't have the bandwidth between trying to manage this channel, having somebody new move in, and actual, my regular day job. It's not been possible, but I am so thankful that you guys are here to support everybody. DeAudrey, you have sheep in your backyard sometimes, but you miss the agricultural fair with the sheep shearing contest. You know, I have seen some of those people, the professional shearers. Wow. They're like zip, 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 zip. And it's like they took a coat off the sheep and, you know, there they go. Here's the sheep pelt, the wool, you know, the wool pellets, everything's like in pretty much one piece. And there hops away a naked sheep. It's just, I feel for the guys. It's, you know, it looks so funny. Yes, we're all waiting. What is raid? What is raid? Oh, you go then type raid from insert a channel. Oh, that is so cute. That sounds wonderful. That is really neat, Misha. There's so many people that I really want to either collaborate with or speak with or watch their channel more, and I just don't have the space for it right now. But I really hope to get back in, and I hope to see you guys on those other channels. So don't lose hope for me. I really, really, really hope that I'll get there. All right. Darn it all. I don't even think I touched it that time, guys. It was really wanting to be nasty to me. All right. I guess I'm keeping this on my lap. All right. I had to kind of write down today's thing. So there's a video today that I took most of this from. And I've incorporated some stuff that I learned from some other sites. So for today, we're just going to be talking about adult ADHD and childhood trauma. So we're not talking about ADHD in children at all. This is just strictly about adult ADHD. Whether you just have it as an adult, you've had it since you were a child, or just you discovered that you had it as an adult, you were diagnosed as an adult. So, and childhood trauma. What we're not doing is we are not talking about CPTSD. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we start with our definitions here. But I'm just reading here. Crystal says that she and Jen Marie will be on My Other's Keeper on September 17th, Tuesday, 6 Mountain Time. That is going to be 8 p.m. Eastern, guys. Hop on over there and join Crystal and Jen. I'm going to do another shout out to Jen and her channel, Surviving, or Between the Cracks. Stuck on Surviving. Her channel, Between the Cracks. Jen has hooked up with the main advocacy group. I think it's Impact 1111 or 1111 Impact. I'm not sure which one, but it's the one that Paris Hilton backs. And she's the face of the TTI, the Troubled Teen Industry, the advocacy groups for it. And she's kind of hooked up with that. And she was at a courthouse here in Michigan today, or Wednesday, showing support for a teen who was let go from a Troubled Teen Institute, and his parents don't want him back, even though they adopted him from a foreign country, and it's just an absolute mess. And so she was there to support him, let him know that there are people who, you know, are there for him, and that you know, trying their best. And I know that organization is doing the best that they can for him, for this child, Elijah, this boy. I think he's about 17 or so. So they're doing a lot. And Jen really seems to, I think, coming into her own with this advocacy work. She's been doing more and more and more of it. And I'm thrilled to see it. And I think that it's wonderful. And I think you're going to see more from her in this regard. And maybe we'll see her in Washington at some point. We'll see. Hashtag we believe you, Elijah. Absolutely. It's an incredible story. It's one where I absolutely shake my head at, because I can't, at being a parent myself, I can't understand that level of callousness. I mean, this is a child who you took into your home, like, as a preteen. I mean, this kid was already like, I think 10, 11, 12, something like that, when he came into this home. I think he's from Haiti, and came into a city in Michigan, very wealthy family, and came from basically nothing into, had everything materialistically. Um, we're still left scratching our heads going, why did you adopt him in the first place? Because it just doesn't seem like they were really looking for a child. So head on over there, and you can check out Jen's latest video. And she talks about her latest foray into advocacy work with Elijah. Pretty amazing. She called me Monday to go, and I could not. Unfortunately, I would have gone with her in a heartbeat, but as you know, on Wednesday I was at the periodontist, so that was just a physical impossibility for me. I could not be two places at one time. Crystal, you're right, sadly. Unfortunately, I think as it became trendy for a while to adopt Chinese babies, Korean babies, Vietnamese babies, Romanian babies, Black babies, whether it's Black, African American, Island American, whatever it is, wherever they're from, somebody with darker skin. And it's just, it makes my heart ache. It truly makes my heart ache. Because, again, the callousness, really? When you're talking about raising another human being, just, yeah, just drives me nuts. Did anybody else hear that China has put a ban on foreign adoptions of Chinese babies? Their birth rate has dropped below 2, and so they're getting a little antsy about getting their birth rate up. North Korea has, where some will offer carrots, North Korea offers the stick, and you're being punished if you're not, I won't say not producing. They're encouraging you to produce, but any doctors offering abortions or contraceptives or anything of that nature is being severely punished. Deirdre, I understand this sentiment. So given how badly many people treat their bio kids, I'm sure it's often worse for adopted kids. And I understand why you say that. I guess it never dawned on me much, because I always thought, well, if somebody adopts a kid, then that means they want them. They can't have another kid of their own, or maybe they don't want to biologically, but they want another child. But I guess that want doesn't necessarily equate to good parenting. And I think that's the fallacy that I've fallen for. And it's really, it's really sad. I'm sorry, I'm reading your stuff at the same time. I'm not doing very good with that today. The boy and his sister, okay, they were from Haiti, right? And the parents were millionaires. It's just the weirdest thing. And I will say I'm partly biased in regards to thinking about the whole adoption thing, because most of the people who I know who are adopted had a good experience. The people who adopted them, they wanted a child. My mom is adopted, and her parents desperately wanted a child, and so they got my mom. It's hard for me to wrap my head around somebody adopting a child and then not doing their absolute best to take care of that child and to love that child. Yeah, it's right. I mean, it should be about the love for the child. I'm so sorry for any of you who were adopted and did not have the best experience. But I guess adopted or bio doesn't guarantee a good childhood or a good parental experience, either way. So it's hard. That's so hard to hear. Anyway, okay, well, da 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 da. Shannon, I don't understand the evil in this world either. So, Judge, your mother often said you were a changeling because you can't relate to her. You weren't adopted. Yeah, I often said to my parents, you must have adopted me because I have absolutely nothing in common with my brother. Zero. Other than we share the same parents, supposedly. We don't look alike. My brother does look like my dad. I will give him that. People say that I kind of do look like a mix of my parents. So when you look at our parents, I guess there's some evidence for us being biologically related, but pretty much other than that, and the fact that I'm as anal as my dad is, we we don't have anything in common. Hey, Mayonnaise, lurk away. So glad you're here. Your sister and you often had the same thought that you're just too different and you can't be related. Yeah, I know. Misha, I'm so sorry that being adopted has not been a positive for you. And you know what? You are who you are. Who do you love? Who do you care about? What do you care about? What's your passion? What are things you love to do? What's your favorite food? That's all part of you. That's all who you are. You get to define you. The fact that your parents were not your biological parents makes absolutely no difference now. At least not for any of us. So you decide who you are. It's part of our healing journey anyway. It's for each of us to kind of strip ourselves down and figure out who we are. Remember, we say that if we don't know who we are, we can't really set our boundaries because we have to know what we think and what we believe in and where our values are. So we have to know ourselves in order to do that. So you you just go on being you, Misha. Okay? That's all you can do. It's the only person you can be. We love you for just who you are. Well, let's talk a little bit about ADHD and trauma. The reason I decided, I said this on Wednesday. The reason I decided to do this was one, I had it pointed out to me that I may have ADHD. And I wasn't so much in denial as I was just really shocked because no one had ever said that to me. No one had ever even, there'd never been an inkling that perhaps things that I suffered from or symptoms that I had that might even possibly be related to ADHD. No clue. So when David mentioned it to me, I was really taken aback, and I thought, this is something I want to look at. And I remember seeing a lot of things about ADHD and trauma, and I was like, can trauma cause ADHD? Is there a correlation between the two? How does that work? Why do so many people talk about ADHD and trauma in the same breath, in the same video? There's so many lectures about this, what's going on. So this is what I found, guys. And I know that you guys are going to be just as interested as I am in this. At least I hope you are. So let's go through a few definitions first. And we're going to go through this in a little bit more detail after I show you a little piece of a video that really was my aha moment that I was speaking about on Wednesday. And I think just the way that he presents the issues, he really kind of sums it up. It's about 4.5 minutes long, but just bear with it. I think I might speed it up just a tad because he does speak really slowly. But he is a therapist now, and he discusses moving out of his parents' house and kind of how he was in his 20s and I think first half of his 30s maybe. And there were so many things that he said that I went, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, well, do I have ADHD then? Because I've heard of all of this stuff and I thought it was part of CPTSD. So what's the deal? Let's just play. I'm going to play him. No, I'm going to. What do you guys want first? Definitions or to hear him talk? Throw it out to you. Let's do this. We'll go over this a little bit more, but in general, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that's often diagnosed in childhood, but you can, and often people then carry it into adulthood. You also can, I want to say get it in adulthood, but it can appear in adulthood. Two different ways. One, you always had the symptoms, but they were fairly latent. They were kind of hidden. They weren't coming out because you maybe did this, that, or the other thing that were coping mechanisms and you didn't really realize it. And so they were always there, but they haven't been addressed or they haven't been diagnosed. And because of some issue that comes out in adulthood, it can exacerbate those symptoms. And so it makes them more obvious. And you're going, wait a minute. And then you might have wonderings of, is this ADHD, right? It can also be triggered solely in adulthood. And by this, we mean it's not as if you've just up and gotten ADHD, but what happens is it's triggering ADHD symptoms. So it's mimicking. what ADHD is, but it's not necessarily ADHD itself, the diagnosis alone. This can get a little confusing because there's a lot of overlap between trauma, childhood trauma, and ADHD. Childhood trauma here, I want to briefly address so that you understand what we're talking about and what we're not talking about with CPTSD. At least the way that this particular therapist organizes things is that childhood trauma is kind of your overall experience, your overall trauma experience. And it can be anything. Hang on a second. I gotta get back over to here. Okay. So with trauma, this played out so much better when I was laying this all out, trying to decide what order to go through these definitions. Do you know what? We're going to just play this video. I want you guys to hear what I heard. Just stop me in my tracks. All right, I may stop this occasionally just because what he says is just really on point for me. And shout out if anything is really dinging some bells for you.
When I moved out of home at the age of 19, I often described...
Okay. Did I mention that I happen to listen to it fast? Generally, let's slow this down for you guys, though, to normal speed. I think that would be good.
When I moved out of home at the age of 19, I often describe that period in my life as I kind of joke about it. I was very traumatized, not in my body. I hadn't started any therapy work yet, and I had really just left my family of origin under some really crazy and sad circumstance. And I was pretty much a mess, which was actually, I would later find out that mess was very appropriate for what my life had been like up until that point. And at that time, I just thought I wasn't good at keeping it together and functioning as well as other people could. And when I think back to that time in my life, I would struggle with any of the following issues: being socially anxious most days, very preoccupied on a body level about what people thought about me, and it didn't matter who it was, like a stranger, the bus driver, coworker, didn't matter. Socially, I might have been a very interruptive talker, or an unconscious talker, not being present and grounded around others.
So I just had to say that was one thing that I was like, I've always been an interruptive talker, and it's not something that I want to do. It's just was something my family does. And so I was like, okay, well, I've always done that. My family does that. So maybe that's just a family trait. It's not so much something with ADHD. So this is how I'm going through this in my brain. And I'm kind of, clicking off some things as he's talking about them.
Made it to a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. If you saw me in the waiting room, you'd see me nervously bouncing my leg or kind of chewing on something, wondering if the receptionist hated me because I was 25 minutes late. I was late to everything. And I had this internal anxious motor going on all the time. I also had, functioning issues, like remembering appointments, paying rent on time. If I asked directions, like where's the laundromat, I couldn't listen and take in the steps. I could ask, but then I would probably become really self-conscious and consumed with what the person thought about me asking, and I would mildly dissociate and not take in where the laundromat was. Laundry and dishes were very difficult to get done. Days off or open days were a total mess for me, like spending the day being anxious about what to do with my time or what to do.
Okay, so I had to stop this here, where he says dishes and laundry. Oh my gosh, bane of my existence, absolute bane of my existence. Free days where things are unstructured, as he's saying, wondering what should I do with myself, and you worry the day away about what you should do, that you end up not doing anything, and then you're not productive, and so you beat yourself up, and you're mad at yourself, and disappointed, and upset. And so I thought, okay, well, this just feeds into anxiety and depression, right? Still, ADHD never crossed my mind. But what he's saying is me from about 45 on. And the reason I picked that time in my life is because I had my nervous breakdown around 40, just completely fell apart. But when I did, I had moved in with my parents. I was getting a divorce, so I moved cities and I moved in with my parents till I could get my own place and get back on my feet. So my son and I were there, but I had live-in help. I had two people who were retired who could help me with my son and basically, take care of other things, and to a large extent, me. So when I moved out of there and got my own place, and it was just my son and I, that's when I think you saw a lot of these behaviors come out. And it's not as if some of these behaviors were things that I hadn't ever experienced before, but experiencing so many of these things that they're talking about along with ADHD. Um, I started wondering. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? I definitely did have a big trauma. I've had trauma in my life. I had a huge upset, huge trauma with losing my job and losing my house, my home, my husband, everything within 10 days of each other, moving to a different city. So I am like, that's got me thinking about this childhood trauma
with myself.
ADHD connection. So let's hear a little bit more about sorry, dog barking. I'm hoping you can't hear it. I'm thinking you might be able to, though. Can you guys hear the dog? If you can, I'll close my window. Hey, Rick, how you doing? Good to see you. So glad you're joining us today. Got to go. Okay, well, glad you stopped in. I'm glad you were here. You can hear the dog? Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Because it's such a beautiful day that Lord knows we're probably going to get more. And there's an airplane. You don't mind the dog? Okay. Well, you never know. Sometimes it can get to be a cacophony depending on how many dogs start to join in. So we'll just leave it closed for now. We're okay in here. Mark, so glad you're here. Good to see you. Let's see what a little bit more that Pat has to say about his life and how it was lining up with mine.
And then only leave the apartment at like 7 p.m. just to go to a coffee shop, just to go somewhere. And I had issues with like the time space continuum. I had magical thinking that I could use public transit and get from one side of town to the other side of town in 5 minutes when it actually takes 40, probably why I was late to everything. I was impulsive with money, with credit cards, and paying them on time was a mess, or paying them was a mess. When it came down to practicing my musical instrument at that time, I was always like, today's the day, and I would never make the time, or I could never hold the attention. And I often had mood dependent behaviors going on. And what that means is like thoughts like, I'll quit smoking when I'm in the right place. I'll do the laundry when I have more energy later in the day.
How many have done this? Mood dependent. I hadn't heard this phrase before, but it's so on par. Yeah. When I have more energy later in the day, I'll do it, knowing that really morning is my best time. as he's talking here, I'll smoke it. I'll stop smoking when I feel better, when I get to the X point or the beginning of the month or something of that nature. Here he's like, I'll get it together when I quit smoking weed. So there's always something else that has to happen before you can accomplish what your goal is. And I definitely did a lot of this, a lot of bargaining based on what I was doing.
Get it together when I quit smoking weed. And those are all mood dependent behaviors. Something has to happen in order for me to get something done. And at that time, I worked evenings and usually got to bed around 1 or 2 a.m. And I'd often have to get up at 9 or be at work at 10. That was a total mess. This was when I worked in restaurants. And I'd have to really rally to get stuff done. I dread doing adulting tasks like for a week, like just paying a bill or something like that. And then I would have to super focus for a day and get anything done, like bills, errands, or laundry. And just a year or so prior to that time in my life, I almost didn't graduate high school for the same problems and functioning, like not being prepared, not showing up, not graduating was a lot about my absences as well as barely passing grades.
So I want to stop here for a second when he's talking about, paying bills, having to get super focused to do anything. I always blamed the nervous breakdown. And maybe it is. Maybe the nervous breakdown is that trauma that triggered the ADHD symptoms. That's possible. It's possible that I really had some of these symptoms all along and I never really looked at them carefully, or they've always been masked as something else, as depressive behaviors, or related to the anxiety. For the first time in my life, when that 45 on, I had trouble paying my bills on time. I was never late. My credit was excellent. And for the first time, it was all I could do to say to myself, I have got to get online and pay this bill. It literally will take me less than 2 minutes. But just forcing myself to even put the energy into doing that felt monumental. It was just absolutely mind-boggling to me how many things that he talked about that I just went, oh my gosh. So I'm not going to play the rest of it. There's about a little over a minute left with where he talks about some more things with his childhood. And I said, okay, well, maybe I've got ADHD, right? So let's look at ADHD. He did put together this lovely chart for us to look at. So I can talk and you guys can watch. Okay, so here's this chart about ADHD symptoms and what types of things are we talking about. Low frustration tolerance, check. Interrupted sleep, check. But it always seems to be for a different reason. So I'm like, hyperactivity, not quite so much. Impulsivity, yes and no. I seem to temper myself. Mood regulation problems, yes. Verbal communication problems, yes. For the first time in my life, that 45 on, I had problems communicating. I thought it was my brain. I thought maybe I was going into some, early old people symptoms. I thought, it was the menopause. Who knows? But I certainly didn't think about ADHD. Never crossed my mind. Self-esteem issues, check. Hyperfocus, yes. And when he talked about this too, and hyper-focusing on something, you can't focus on things in general or what you want to focus on, but you might get super hyper-focused on one thing. Like mine, it was always one thing. It was one thing at a time. Either it was games on my phone, or reading. And those seemed to be the two things that I would focus on to the nth degree for hours and hours and hours and hours, right? To the detriment of everything else going on around me that I needed to do or that I should have been doing, that I could have been using that time to do things with. So that was definitely there. And then again, and I look at it and I go, well, I've always really gotten into what I've, been doing. But when I look at it, it was much more of an avoidant behavior, not just I'm getting involved into what I happen to be doing at this particular moment, or, what I want to be doing. It's getting involved in it so you don't have to be doing other things. Problems with task completion, you start one thing and then you move on to something else because you happen to walk by it, it's all your squirrel moments. Poor planning, poor time management. And again, these were all things I never had a problem with before. If you ask anybody, I mean, I was the poster child for procrastination. Yes, 100% will admit, but getting things done. And I had things planned out to the nth. I had my Franklin planner, and I was very organized. Always tend to be late though, not for lack of organization and not for a lack of planning. It was always like that, just last minute thing before I walked out the door that ended up taking up 15 minutes. It seems to always be something like that for me. So yes, I am perpetually late. I love being down in the islands because I work very well on island time, which is, an hour or two slower than what you than what actual time is. Sensitivity, being oversensitive to people, criticisms, things, 100%. All my life. Again, here's an all my lifer thing. So it's not anything I could pinpoint and say, well, no, I think I've got ADHD. Trying to get my thing back. Okay. So that's what it means when we're talking about ADHD. Now, there isn't a causation between childhood trauma and ADHD. They think it comes from a mixture of genetics and environmental factors, particularly exposure to toxins, things of that nature, alcohol, tobacco, in utero. The genetics, surprising to me, 80% chance that you will have ADHD if you have a parent who has ADHD. 80% chance. Wow. Wow. And so I got thinking, when I was coming up in school, that's when everyone started getting the Ritalin, everyone started getting diagnosed with ADD, which I've now heard is kind of gone by the wayside, and everyone with ADD just gets bunched into ADHD. So if you don't hear ADD a lot anymore, that is why. But childhood trauma, hang on. So when you have childhood trauma, the types of abuse and neglect and perhaps violence that the child sees, if it's very sensitive developmental time of their lives, we've spoken about how that can actually change your brain, right? It changes pathways. It changes the way that we feel things. It changes the way that we experience things. And a lot of those things, those characteristics of that, we use the word mimic for lack of a better word, mimic ADHD. They just have a lot of symptoms in common with them, much more in common than they have not in common. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at childhood trauma. And we're going to look at it as it compares to adult ADHD. I have been on the other page, so I have no idea. You guys have been commenting away, and I have just been rambling on here. Mark, you're thinking about moving to Ireland? You're going to join Deaudrey? Maybe I'll just have to join Deaudrey. Deaudrey, you started a trend. I'm so sorry things are rough for you, Mark. It gets very frustrating. I can very much understand that. Hey, I'm just going back and just reading what you guys are. So it sounds like you guys really really identify with what I'm talking about. This just a lot of ADHD like symptoms. And I think when you look at this, you can see all of this whole gray area where it overlaps. These are all the things that the two have in common. And some of these, emotional dysregulation, that's something that ADHD also has. When we talk about, so do I have ADHD or is it because of childhood trauma? What this particular gentleman focuses on, and this is his creation, by the way, and that's why I want to do more of these, because I want to talk about how some other therapists think about this and the interaction between the two, and what do you do about it, and trying to decide where it all comes from. Therefore, how do you treat it? So if you look at the childhood trauma on this on the far right side, attachment problems, body memories, and that body memories, that's the trauma. That's the trauma that we're talking about, where our sympathetic nervous system has it seared into it. That traumatic event, just we know, our body remembers. So that is a very hallmark of trauma and not ADHD. Oh, Deaudrey, you're killing me. Seaside therapy is my favorite type as well. Self-sabotaging ourselves is also another hallmark of childhood trauma. I know I am guilty of this. And it's funny that it's listed over on the side, because as he talks with this, you can see some things aren't, you do your best to put things where they go, but there is definitely a lot of people with ADHD who I know who have this self-sabotage or harm issue, in terms of, setting ourselves up for failure type of thing, not self-harm. You got schnitzel that needs to be flattened today. That usually releases tension, Max says. Okay. I take it it's a lot of work flattening the schnitzel. That's what I'm getting out of this. Seaside therapy and cheesecake. Oh my God, you've got me. Oh my gosh, I'm there. Absolutely 100%. Okay. I have to fight against self-sabotage a lot too, Crystal. And it's amazing that the more I learn about it and learn about how we do it, learn about examples, the easier it becomes in pointing it out to myself, like realizing when I'm doing it to myself, but even more so, like David will point it out sometimes to me, just that my talk is self-sabotaging. You know, if I was continue through with that, those actions would be self-sabotaging. And I've recognized it in him, and we've been able to point it out in each other and talk about it. And wow, that has been so helpful. Again, you know, I don't have a separate therapist right now. It's something I do want to get into, but I just can't afford it right now. So connecting with you guys, connecting with my good friends, having people who understand trauma, who understand mental conditions, who get it, it makes all of the difference to be able to talk to somebody like that on a regular basis and have them notice something within you and go, hey, you might want to check yourself. You know, you're just going to fail because you're setting yourself up for it. And really, that is just invaluable to me. Just absolutely invaluable. I'm losing my white cursor in my very, very white document. Sorry, guys. Just briefly, the way that this particular therapist breaks things out is he defines childhood trauma as referring to the emotional and psychological impact experienced during childhood due to various forms of abuse. Physical, emotional, sexual, neglect, and exposure to chaotic family environments. So the focus is on the overall narrative and experiences growing up in a traumatic environment that shapes your emotional and psychological self. The difference with CPTSD is that it's a specifically diagnosed condition that develops in people who have generally chronic abuse or significant trauma that just that happened in their childhood that causes this PTSD. You've got these post-traumatic stress symptoms and these reactions to it. So it's this chronic nature, it's this continuing nature, it's a diagnosis that's generally diagnosed later on in life, or at least later into your teens, because you've got to have a chance for that to kind of work itself out or show itself. So it's something that's not seen until a little bit later on in life as well. But the symptoms are very similar, you know, to what we're talking about in childhood trauma. And that's, so I think it's a distinction, and it's an important distinction for psychology, but I think for our purposes, it's really a distinction without matter as much. Your mom's side is the queen in self-sabotage? Yeah, I have some family members who are like that as well. And it's, you know, we learn it. It can be a learned behavior too. I mean, any of this can be learned behaviors. And certainly if you've got people who act like that in your family. I mean, it's no wonder that ADHD is passed down from parent to child. We talked about intergenerational trauma, right? I mean, you're just passing symptoms on from one to another. So whether it's because of genetics or it's because of, you know, these are your parents and these are the people you model after, you know, 6 on one hand, half dozen in another. I think that for me personally, when we're speaking about, is it ADHD? Or is it childhood trauma? I don't think it matters much. I'm at the point in my life where I don't care about the label. Unless it's something that is going to need to be determined because of a treatment plan that I'm on. Say that my ADHD symptoms are such that I might seriously benefit from medication. I know that I'm at the point where my focus issues are not the primary for me. It's, and especially after speaking to David, who has typical ADHD, our brains do work very differently, but we certainly have a heck of a lot in common by the way we view things, how our brains do process things, um, how we need some time sometimes when we take in information to be able to process it before we can talk about it or deal with it or, put it in its place. And so looking at this was really, really important to me. And then talking to him more about his ADHD, and so that I can recognize when he's doing something. Is this because of his ADHD? And it doesn't mean that you get like a pass if you do something bad just because it's with ADHD, just because it's, caused by ADHD. But it just helps me understand better. It helps me be able to go with the flow. It helps me be able to, not get upset about something, because that's just you, that's just the way your brain works. And if it's something that didn't make a positive impact, then we look at it and, and see what we can do. The bottom line is, you're right, Misha. How do we fix it? Okay, great. It's got this label, it's got that label, it stems from this or it stems from that. Wonderful. But what do I do about it? How do I deal with it? And so that is really what is going to be part of this series of the ADHD and trauma that I want to look at. It'll be mainly these factors that are here, that are this overlap. But like I said, I know that I have some of these other ones, it seems like ADHD was triggered because of something that was going on in my life, and not necessarily just from my childhood trauma. So is it potential that I have both at this time? Absolutely. I don't feel that any ADHD-ness is hindering myself to the point where I need to get on medication for it. Therefore, I don't care about the label. However, if your thinking is so scattered and you have such a hard time focusing and getting tasks done and things like that getting on something like Vyvanse or Adderall, might be beneficial for you so that you can, just complete things during your day and actually be productive, then yeah, it very much behooves you to get into somebody and get tested and see if it's something that could benefit you. So we're definitely going to keep talking about this with regard to how do we deal with it? Because, to be quite honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I've got my basic tools, but any specific tools for dealing with like ADHD-like symptoms? Not a clue. Don't know. I'm learning because I've been researching this. And so either Wednesday or next Saturday is when I would like to do, tools for dealing with this. And oh my gosh, Misha, that is so wonderful. Your daughter is forcing you to drive to her place, and she's going to be an advocate for you that one day a week, and so you guys can get things done. That is just fabulous. just fabulous. Yeah, it is. It's very eye-opening when we see our children be wiser than us, or at least say very wise things or do very smart things. It just um, tickles my heart, right? You're so thankful that they have come into their own and feel confident enough to help like that. That's just absolutely, absolutely fabulous. Janet has too many irons in the fire, so you're streamlining life. Very important. Very important. Um, the paralysis that we feel when we become overwhelmed, very, very real. If we were to look back at that chart, the overlap between the ADHD and childhood trauma, I think one of the things he talks about in the video too is, so what is this? Do I have ADHD? Do I have childhood trauma? Do I have the childhood trauma with symptoms that mimic ADHD? Do I have CPTSD? Do I have anxiety? Do I have depression? Do I have GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder? Again, so many labels, and so much of it have so many things in common. So because of that, you'd have to talk to your therapist as to how they feel in regards to the importance of labeling things. Some people really need to have labeled. They need to have diagnoses because it gives them focus. It gives their life order. And again, particularly, like I said, if there's any sort of medication that might be beneficial to you, 100%, get diagnosed by a professional. But it's really more about what can we do about it, right? So that is where I am now, guys. This is such a big issue that I really spent half the morning trying to decide what to present, how much to present. And I really want to delve into this quite a bit because I want to understand a little bit more as to how trauma can trigger ADHD. What are we talking about there? Trigger ADHD symptoms. And one of the things that was talked about oh shoot, I don't have it. Darn it, I don't have it. Give an alphabet soup following your name: CPTSD, OCD, APD, ADHD, DID, ASD with PD. Blah, blah, blah. The only letters you need to focus on are M and E. Yes. Focus on yourself and all that is you. That whole alphabet soup, all of it's you as well, but it doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's just, these are ways of explaining how I am that other people will understand. But I want to spend some time talking about this dissociation issue. And I know that there's many of you out there who watch who can understand this from a total dissociation, meaning you've been diagnosed with DID, or dissociative identity disorder, which used to be called multiple personalities, to zoning out, which is a form of dissociating. When this gentleman was talking about asking for directions to the laundromat then zoning out and not actually hearing the directions, I can relate so much, because there'll be so many times I am reading something and I go to do something else with that information. Say I'm copying it, not copy paste, but just, okay, read it, and then I'm going to type it or something. I'll retain about 3 words, and I've got to go look again. And my brain can't retain it. And it's so frustrating. Or I'll ask a question and then I'll not hear the answer. And I'll be like, I was standing right here and I just went somewhere else. And let me see. Hang on. Gotta find my mouse again. One second, guys, because he does a pretty good, decent talk here about dissociation. And I thought maybe he had a chart, but I don't think he does. No chart. Mark, that's fabulous. You stopped the world today for a few hours. You got in the mud, ate really good ice cream because you needed to clear your heads before you dealt with the world again. It's all right to take breaks. It 100% is all right to take breaks. Absolutely. And one of the things about these ADHD, like symptoms, and in starting to do the research about, what to do about it, how do you cope with it, how do you deal? So much of what's going on now is working. If you don't take medication, don't. That's kind of a trend, which, I'm neutral on. If you need it, you need it. I'm not going to, that's between you and your health professional, your mental health professional. If you guys discuss it and this is what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But it's so amazing to me that we can speak to the people who are like us, right? Who have similar experiences. And I think so much of the tools that we try and use, we're stopgapping a little bit. And you're treating symptoms. You get a tool to deal with a symptom. But a lot of the modern thinking on ADHD in particular is about going with the flow, learning to use it to your benefit, having it be your superpower. So what does that all mean? Honestly, I don't have a great answer for you right now because I haven't put it all together. But I do know that because the brain in somebody who's truly ADHD, which I do not believe I have ADHD as a separate diagnosis. I believe that I have symptoms from childhood trauma. I believe that I've triggered ADHD symptoms. But there's just for me, there's just so many hallmarks missing that I just don't feel like I fit into that ADHD, category. But I've still got to deal with the same types of things. And so if there's skills that are out there in the ADHD community beyond what I've learned for dealing with anxiety and dealing with depression, which some of these symptoms, definitely have overlap within those as well. If there's other things out there that can help me learn to live with this, learn to get rid of it, because our ultimate goal is healing from this. And if we can trace our things back to trauma and release that from our body and to be able to let it go, the hope is that a lot of these symptoms will go by the wayside. Misha has decided she is vlogging anytime she drives and needs it. And that's that. Okay. Not a problem. Good. Yeah. Do what works for you. And that's why when I start bringing out these coping mechanisms, when I start talking about, how do we move with, live with our symptoms? How do we make it be our superpower? To be as efficient as we can with what we have. This is something that I've definitely been speaking with David about. And, he's got so many different projects and deadlines and things to do with his business. And is he getting it done the way somebody who went to an office and worked for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day would? No. But that's okay. He's getting it done the way he needs to get it done. He's still being productive. He's being productive with all of his hours. It's just that he skips around a little bit more. He gets this section done, and then he may move to that section. And this may have to wait. And that may get done all at once instead of, in 3 steps like he planned it. But that's where my focus is today. So being able to be just as productive, but just in a different way. And so let's take what we can learn from this and see if we can put it to some good use. Hey, Mac. Hey, Mac. I'm reading myself. Hey, Todd. How you doing? So good to see you. How are you feeling? How is your puppy search going? I think that you were anybody who's looking for a new puppy or a new animal in their house says, I'm so jealous. I just love babies. Baby anythings are cute, mostly. I really tried to say every baby is cute, but there's some that I've had some judgments on, I will admit. Not proud of those moments, but I've tried. So, any thoughts today, guys? You're still hurting a bit? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if he's actually going to get it, but he was talking about it. The pain isn't as bad. Good. Well, I hope that you are back to 100% really soon. It sucks feeling like that. Just absolutely sucks. I know that. My allergies are still kicking my butt. I don't know about anybody else. I'm really surprised this fall. You want a puppy too, but not with your job, Shannon? Yeah. And that was actually, I wanted an emotional support animal for my son. I thought it would be, great to have. But I was still working. This was just before COVID hit. It was in the fall of 2019 that I was really getting serious about this. So I was still working. I was still going to my office every day. And my son, I think, was, I don't know, 4th, 5th grade, something like that. So, old enough to stay home for a little bit, could probably take out the puppy, but it just did not seem to fit within our lives to have either a puppy or an actual full-grown dog. I just felt too bad leaving them home and, crating them during the day and things of that nature. So we ended up with cats anyway, and they're great. They just, They're two brothers and they're hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And we're probably going to have some more pictures of them as we been trying to figure out some different things marketing wise and to catch your attention, and actually use Surviving the Cracks for it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, Crystal and Shannon, you guys were really suffering on Wednesday. It sounds like you still are. Not as bad as Wednesday, Shannon. Yeah, and we're on opposite ends of the country. That's what kills me. It's so weird. You know, Misha, I was just talking about this the other day. She says, do you think every society goes through something similar to this with each industrial revolution? It's like trying to parent a child using 19th century styles knowledge. Yeah, you know, and actually one of the things that we were thinking about is the different generations and parenting, right? And how I was listening to things about Gen Z, and I was trying to figure out, okay, if I'm trying to reach them, how do I need to do that? What do I need to do? What is going to be the best approach to get Surviving Together's message across to the younger crowd, people who I know could also use this space? And in just doing the research and what the pundits had to say about different generations, it dawned on me that, you know, every generation, it seems, is hard on the next generation because we don't feel that they're doing it right. We don't feel that their morals are in the same place. We don't feel that they're, you know, connecting properly, whatever the situation is. And to some extent, I see that, and I say, yes, you're right. Because I do feel that there are some core values that kind of get lost over time and have gotten lost over time, especially with, you know, capitalism being materialistic. There's definitely things we've lost, but when I look at my son, and especially I look at like my parents and how different we're going from boomers to Gen Z. Okay, so you got a bunch of different generations in the middle between there, and realizing it's not that they're just doing things differently. They're working by a different set of rules. So when we say, well, you're doing that wrong because X is appropriate, Y isn't, their generation looks at you and goes, Y is totally appropriate. Y is just fine. And really, so is Z. And you'd have the other generation going, Z, oh my God, no. What is acceptable has totally changed. And so it really becomes unfair to judge that generation by your generation's rules when they are operating on a different set. And it's not that some of these ideas hadn't crossed my mind. I don't know, but just putting it in that particular context for me just really, really just, I don't know, I just put it all together in my brain. And again, this is part of what we go verbal communication skills. And sometimes my brain just falls all over itself. It is true. We have been progressing, quote unquote, so fast. And I mean, what do we mean by progress? We mean that the things that we have in our lives, the technology that gets us from place to place, that allows us to do our everyday lives, it's changed drastically in the last hundreds of years. I mean, you can't even compare. So I think that there just needs to be an honoring of, like, say for Gen Z, what Gen Z is up against, how they've learned, what their lives have been like. You have to understand the context of how they've come up and how that differs so much from us. Now, that's not to say that our lessons don't matter anymore, because they really do. And this is where the people of today need to look to the past and take what's good with them and change what they think needs to be changed. Now, I may, as Gen X sitting here, thinks that A, B, and C do not need to be changed. They're just fine the way they are. And somebody else thinks they need to be changed. I guess that's what we have different political systems for, right? Different people think different things need to be worked on. Todd, wishing you the best. Lemon, mint, and honey, Mock is saying. I am saying ginger and lemon, ginger tea and lemon, or green tea and lemon. Yeah, Mock, I say too, I wouldn't want to be young in today's world. It's just so, it would just be so foreign to grow up the way they did versus Gen X, really the last generation that was able to just go out and play in the streets till dark. And when the streetlights came on, all the kids went home for dinner. That time passed, and it was a totally different feel to things. When that started passing and kids weren't just going out in the neighborhood and playing anymore, but then we had structured play dates and interviews of the parents of the people who your kids were going to be playing with. And, you know, I remember the first time somebody asked me if we had guns in our home. And I was taken aback by it. And I was like, huh? I get it. I understand, there's with shootings and stuff. There were some parents who would not let their child come to somebody's house that had guns in the house. Some people would allow it if we were able to show that, yes, we had guns, but they were in a safe place. They were in a locked cabinet. The key was somewhere the kids could not get, did not know. Just so different. I guarantee you my parents were not asking questions of the other kids' parents. The only thing was like, hey, do you want to play? Sure. Ask your mom. Okay, I'll go ask my mom. Call me after school. Okay. So you call. Did you ask your mom? Is it okay? Yeah. Did you ask your mom? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, put your mom on the phone and I'll put my mom on the phone. And the moms will get on the phone and they go, so it's okay that Matt comes over and plays with Sarah this weekend? Yep. Okay, great. You're picking, okay, fabulous. Wonderful. Boom, done. There was no need to know anything else. There was no need to talk about food allergies. There was no need to talk about we didn't talk about any of those kind of things. It was just, if you were going to actually set up time and a place to play with somebody, it's okay. They're not lying. Good. Okay. That was good enough. And like, then you're good to go on. Yeah. I mean, I think on one level you could say maybe we lived in a delusional world. Was there less crime then? Was there less of the things going on that we are vigilant or hyper vigilant about today? No, there wasn't. It was just more well known. It's just more well known now. And so there is a certain, I think, nostalgia for the naiveness or the ignorance, because it was much easier to just be a kid. Yep, taught to beware of strangers, and that's about it, because we had stranger danger. We did ourselves a big disservice with having this be the push. It was short-sighted on the side of the people who started doing this. And I don't know, but I'm wondering, did this go hand in hand with the just say no to drugs push? Because I remember Dare came out along the same times. And it just seems to me that maybe they grew out of the same push, which to me explains it a little bit. It's the stranger on the street corner who was selling the drugs. Just say no to the drugs, beware of strangers. I'm just wondering if it was, you don't remember Dare. You're 56. Well, I'm going to be 52 soon, Shannon. So if it was after you, it wasn't much after. It may just be something that didn't have much that in your community. Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of. But no, it just was around that. Deidre, you've heard that sleepovers have fallen in popularity in the last few years because some people see them as risky. Do I remember the eggs in the frying pan, though? Yes. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Don't do drugs. Classic. Hugs for Humanity. Hey, how are you? Sorry I missed you. I missed seeing you come in. Welcome, welcome. Shannon will be 57 in November. November what, Shannon? Threw that out. Need a date. I'm just collecting them anyway, so you need to give us one. November what, Shannon? Oh, 26? Oh my gosh. How often does your birthday fall on Thanksgiving? I gotta wonder this. Well, I am going to be 52 next month, which is just coming faster and faster. I'm a little blown away by it. Very irritated by it. Not looking forward to it. I don't want to get older. Yeah, I'm struggling with the aging thing right now. I'll be 100% honest. I'm struggling with the aging thing. And I know we need to accept ourselves. We need to love ourselves for who we are, the way we are. And believe me, I am just the last person to take my own advice sometimes. We're the hardest critics on ourselves, aren't we? Hope. So welcome, welcome. Glad you popped in to say hi. Love you, love ya. Every couple of years, your birthday's on Thanksgiving, Shannon. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Your body hurts, Shannon. I'm so sorry. My legs have kind of been lately, and it's the sciatica. I've been trying to walk more a little bit. But I'm doing baby steps. Let me put it that way. I'm doing baby steps. I need to be doing better. Janet and I talked about this, and anybody else who's out on weight loss plan. Yeah, aging is body aches, and you're 39, elevating your knee currently. Well, hugs for humanity. More hugs for you. More hugs. Mark says your birthday falls on the first Advent every few years. Isn't that interesting? I avoided answering my own question. Which one was that? Which question did I avoid? I didn't think I meant it on purpose. Which one did I avoid? Yeah, the web did separate us, scatter us, and bring us together all at once. There's so much information out there that is incredibly divisive, but it is also a place where people can connect like they can nowhere else, from all around the world, from different time zones. That is powerful, extremely powerful. My birthday. Oh, because I told you your birthday was last time. My birthday is October 1st. It's a Tuesday. Mock is November 24th. We have got a bunch of fall birthdays, it looks like. Crystal, you have been hitting the treadmill. Look at you go, girl. That is awesome. I know my other's keeper, Kim, has been walking pretty consistently as well, so that is fabulous. I gotta get out there. I gotta make it work. I'm trying to love my curves right now. Behind the 28th. Okay, so you're the 28th. Shannon's the 26th. Hope, is yours October 4 days after whose? Is yours October 5th? Holy moly. Yeah, I don't know when the Libra ends. Where's the cutoff for it? My brother's October 7th. So if that's true, we've got October and November tied up with a whole bunch of birthdays. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Hope's October 5th. Let's rock the first week of October. I always liked having a single-digit birthday. Don't ask me why. I always thought I'm October 1st. Epcot Center opened on October 1st, 1981, I think. When is Janet's birthday? Good question. I have it written down somewhere, but I don't have it handy. But I will get it, and I will get it to you. I will get it out. Your middle brother's is October 6th. Holy schmoly. We definitely got the first week covered, don't we? Wow. You are so sweet, Misha. Thank you so much. And you're right. Birthday's the one thing that's always special to you. And I know some people, they don't celebrate their anniversaries or, the Hallmark days or things like that. But I always said I wanted my birthday celebrated because that day was for me. Yes, there's other people who've been born on the same day as I was. That was what my brother used to say. You think you're the only one who was ever born on that day? Oh, for crying out loud. No, but it's a day just for me. You celebrate the fact that I was born. And why are you celebrating it? Because you're happy. I was born. You're happy I'm here. That's a wonderful feeling to have that happen for people and for people to wish you a happy birthday. For me, nothing better when I was a kid than having a birthday that was separate from my brother. Because with us being so close together, more times than not, we had one birthday dinner that was in between, either at home or when we went out, and that was it. We didn't have birthday parties so much. So it definitely, uh, definitely is epic when I get a chance to. January 31st, Janet. Okay. My mommy is January 23rd, so you guys are close together. Shannon, you love having it close to Thanksgiving. That's interesting because there are a lot of people who hate having their birthday close to holidays or have it fall on any holiday. Mine doesn't, so it's never been an issue for me. But well, you can't change it, so I'm glad you like it. Misha and Crystal are 2 days apart in the beginning of June. Well, looky there. Well, we definitely are going to have somebody to celebrate each month, it looks like. Definitely. So, Misha, at the beginning of the month, shoot me the list if you could. Maybe we'll coordinate something like that so we can make sure to I can make sure to bring up somebody's birthday, in case you're not gonna make that particular live or something. I want to be able to recognize people. Misha, your youngest was born on the 4th of July and hates it or hated it. Yes, the SAS timeline for birthdays. We'll get everyone's birthday on it, and we'll definitely make sure that we'll be celebrating it. Absolutely. I know I've got a ton of work to do on my channel, guys, and the fact that it has not fallen off and fallen by the wayside is a testament to you guys and to how committed I am, because you guys make it all worth it. So yes, we'll definitely get that together. I want to do another fun episode soon, maybe in about a week or so. Manny's your June baby also. Wow. Oh, Misha, no problem. And I'll bug you too, because that's probably easier for me to bug you for the list than to have you affirmatively remember to give it to me. Janet, your sister's birthday was on New Year's Eve. She hated it. That's hilarious. My best friend growing up, in high school, she's a New Year's Eve baby, and I don't think she cared. I think her parents generally had a big party for New Year's Eve, so she liked it. Just thought it was like her party, right? And then my son's sister is a New Year's Eve baby, but I do not know what she thinks of it. I do know a lot of people who are Christian and who have Christmas birthdays or near Christmas birthdays really absolutely hate that. And I can understand. I mean, it's so tempting just to, smush them all into one as a parent. I mean, look at what my parents did. You know, we were 6 days apart, and my parents still mushed us together and had one birthday for us. Especially if you're struggling on money, it makes the most sense. I mean, it totally does. But definitely getting your own day. Celebrating a birthday week would be kind of phenomenal. I've known people who've done that before. That would be pretty awesome. Hope you were diagnosed with ADD in high school. Okay. Do you feel that you still have symptoms? Do you still struggle with it? Still an issue? Yeah, imagine having a birthday on the 4th of July would be pretty amazing for a little kid if they're like, look what you all are doing for my birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. You may stand. Yeah, you do still have ADD or ADHD symptoms. Yeah. See, Crystal was born 5 days for Dad's birthday. You celebrated it together often and you loved it. You know, it just so depends, right? Janet's other sister is December 27th. She gets great presents because of Boxing Day sales. Yes. Yes, that right after Christmas stuff. A Nothing fun about Kiernan other than he came right on time, meaning that date that they kind of estimate, you for a due date, he came on his estimated due date, which was fairly nice of him. Oh, I'm sorry you got lupus. Do you still suffer from it, Hope, or is it in remission? I know lupus is an autoimmune disease, and that's pretty much all I know. I don't know a whole lot about that. I was 2 weeks early as well, Shannon. Twins, 2 cakes, one chocolate, one vanilla, Janet says. Yep. It's funny, my son is definitely a vanilla cake person. Is not a big chocolate eater. Is not a huge sweets eater in general. Takes after his dad on that. Good for him, because mom is the exact opposite. Mom would eat any sweet in sight. Really, seriously. One thing I want to work on, and I want to say sorry to you guys. I think an apology is owed, simply because I've looked back on some of my videos and I realize, even as I'm talking to you now, I just have a very serious face most of the time. And I just don't, I don't know if I look mad or just down or sad or depressed, or, I want to seem a little more opening, a little more welcoming. So I'm going to try and change my facial expressions a little bit to be hopefully a little more welcoming and not so down. So people are just seeing little bits of it. They're not seeing me frowning all over the place. Hope, never be sorry. Never be sorry for sharing, okay? My resting Mac face is pretty much a B face. I will admit that 100%. I'm so sorry that your family was not supportive with you with ADHD and anxiety. I mean, it's not something you go, oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me just take that off. It's, oh, you were in remission, but you're not anymore. Oh, I'm so sorry, Hope. Hugs to you, hugs and love to you, Hope, for having gone through that, and sorry for the trauma that you suffered in college. That's awful. But we're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're with us. Oh, thanks, Misha. My resting mat face is beautiful. You guys make me feel so loved, especially with extra 20 pounds. And it's like, I know my face getting a little pudgier, and that's when I went, whoa, looked at the scale and went, oopsie, oopsie doopsie doopsie. No, we never apologize, Hope, for stuff like that because it doesn't matter. We all have our needs, and we all need to express things, whether it's serious, whether it's upsetting. We're here for you. So don't worry about bringing the mood down, okay? We're up and down all the time here, all right? And one thing about this place is we always want you to feel safe to share whatever you feel that you need to. We're never going to criticize you for it. And you're never going to get jumped on for saying something, if somebody's laughing at a joke and you come up with something serious, if that's something you needed to talk about, that's fine. All right. And the other thing we never do here is trauma compare. We don't trauma compare, which means your trauma is no better or worse than somebody else's. Your trauma is the trauma that you suffered and that hurt you. And so that's very real and powerful. And it's yours. It doesn't matter what somebody else went through. So we don't compare between the two. Shannon, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Hugs and love to each and every one of you guys. I am dealing with a little bit of a handicap here. I've got different pieces of equipment going, but I'm throwing out some ones, guys. And this is for Hope. This is for Shannon. This is for Crystal. This is for absolutely everybody who needs a one today, or needed a one last night, or needs one tomorrow, or anytime before I speak to you again. Because all of us deserve love and support and connection. And my desire above anything else is to provide that for you here. At least 2 days a week. I know I've been off a little bit occasionally and a little bit more lately, but really, really trying to stick to it. So 6 p.m. on Wednesdays, guys. That's our new time for now. As long as it still stays working for me, I'm going to stay with 6. We had some asks for it so that we're a little bit better. Let me know if it's working for you. Let me know if it doesn't make a difference. If it's really not, if there's a time that you really wish I'd come on a particular day, let me know that too, because I'm still batting around doing a third day. Probably won't be until at least next month, or maybe even the beginning of the year, till I get around to it and can do it. But we'll see. We're working on it. We're working on that. Okay. Well, guys, it's almost on 5 o'clock. So a couple hours. Wow, that last hour just went by. I might have a guest Wednesday. I don't know. And that's why I'm hesitating on when we're going to be talking about ADHD and tools to help with it, and how do we work with it instead of working against it. So if that's the case, then we'll be doing that Saturday. All right. I think that's good. Thank you for that, Misha. The rate for the day, the connection. Whose channel is this? Who are we rating? And I'm assuming this is something that's probably going on like right now. Put you up here. So this is the rate for the day. I can't copy and paste while I'm in StreamYard, but let us know whose channel this is. It's a major homeless advocate interview. Mal with AML is doing arts and crafts. I'm not 100% sure who that is, but sounds like fun, guys. Sounds like fun. So go check out that Ripple. Again, I'm not sure 100% whose channel you're going to, but looks like it should be a little bit of looks like it should be some fun. Sweetness. I will check that out afterwards here. Well, guys, please check your subscription status. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't. Share our channel with anyone you can think of, whether it's sharing the videos or just sharing the information about our channel. Really appreciate it. Word of mouth seems to be the best way that information is getting about. The algorithm does push some things out, but word of mouth still seems to be our #1 advertiser. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Absolutely, sure. We'll definitely try and get over there. Everyone who's trying to do good in this world and are have a channel because of something that they believe in and an advocacy cause. It's just wonderful. I'm so glad to see so many people being able to follow their passions. And as more of us do this, the more we band together and the more these issues can be solved. Our world is a messed up place, no doubt about it, but they're issues that are solvable. And that's what kills me. It's especially something like this. We can open up safe spaces and we can have more education and we can get to a place where we're definitely not seeing as much new assaultive or abusive behavior. That's where I want to be. That would just be absolutely awesome. Okay, so this person who we're doing a raid on has almost 1 million souls. Is that true? Holy moly. He's made such a difference in bringing awareness. I think I'm not sure who you're talking about. I think it's the raid channel. That's all that I can think of. But who's got 1 million? I'm definitely looking interested to look this person up. Oh, that is so sweet. And what is this person's name? AML Films. Okay, got it. Well, people, let's check AML Films out. Looks like they're advocacy for homelessness. Which is an absolutely wonderful cause to bring attention to. Mal is his name. Okay, Mal with AML Films. Perfect. Well, great. We'll pop in. pop in a Surviving Together and let them all know. Yay! Thank you so much, Misha. Thank you so much. Mal, like Malcolm. Okay, cool. Good. Guys, that'll do it for today. Head on over to the raid if you get a chance and check out Malcolm at AML Films and what he's all about. I have no idea. Misha seems to be really behind him, so absolutely sounds like it'll be a good time. Email me. That's what I wanted to say. Email me if you need Surviving Together, sass@gmail.com. It's in the description below. I have the link to the video that I used in the description below as well. A lot more information that was talked about as a generality as to how these things, ADHD and childhood trauma, connect and overlap, and the complexity because of the similar symptoms. And so that is in the description as well. And I think that's it. Smash that like button if you haven't already, guys. I will do so after. Comment if you can. If you're on the replay crew, please definitely comment. The algorithm really absolutely loves it. So with that, I will say goodbye and good night and have a great rest of your weekend. Remember, you are worthy. You are valuable. You are strong because you are a survivor. And most of all, you are loved. Just the way you are, for who you are. Much hugs and love. Mwah, from me to you. We'll see you Wednesday at 6 for the next live. Take care, guys.